have another caller. You are noting down, so let's listen to Geoffrey. Good evening, sir. Briefly, your comments? We appear to have lost Geoffrey. So Joseph, agreeing largely with you in as far as the responsibility that is on the parents as well, that's where the first safeguard and policing in essence should begin, the moral policing. But let's go back to Duncan. We talked about music.
Yes.
And we see a lot of these particular hours that across the board it's music, and some of it...
you guys are doing it with impunity. But,
Talk to us about
for
the
Duncan,
music.
for the sake of Duncan, you see, Sophia, what we did, we liberalized the media sector without putting in place the attendant regulatory framework. And that's one of the challenges the government is facing, doing catch-up with the law on an industry that is growing so fast, that is used to freedoms, that had been gagged for far too long during the previous regimes. And suddenly they find their freedom and the industry is growing, and now we are doing catch-up. I understand the resistance. But you see, this is a society on a free fall. If we go that way, and we allow a society where anything goes, and where children can watch anything, where TV stations can play anything, where you can air any material irrespective of how it affects the society, and whether it's promoting or setting the right agenda, I think that's wrong. Regulation is so critical. And while press freedom is, media freedom is actually entrenched in the Constitution, it has limits. Under section Article 34, freedom of the media, it says this freedom does not extend to incitement, to propaganda for war, and so on. And your freedom only extends to the point where it does not affect the freedom of others. Now, in respect to video, music videos, that is songs and videos that are playing in the afternoon, come July 1st, and the law will catch up with you. Because what we are going to do, the board, the Kenya Film Classification Board, is entrusted with the mandate of enforcing the programming code.
Yes.
And we are going to monitor, we are already monitoring, we are in communication with the media houses, and we have identified those segments that are very obnoxious. They should not appear on TV. And I think we have probably youngsters who are running these programs that have not really been educated about the programming code and the code of ethics. And therefore, the challenge that we are facing, sometimes when we call the media owners, the executives, they don't even believe such content was running on their TV. We are engaging in a conversation to train even the program managers. We are engaging in a conversation to market the programming code that was published by Communications Authority in December. It's coming to force in July. We have a 6-month window to negotiate. If you're not comfortable with anything, to bring it forward. I'm not hearing anything from the industry. Come 1st of July, this is what we are going to do. We are going as KFCB to give the compliance or non-compliance thereof reports to CA with specific recommendations. So if we say you are offender number 1 or the first offender, you have not repeated this, we recommend the penalties that are appropriate for you. And those penalties are not very good. It's about money. And you don't want to lose more money. The environment is already constrictive. You would like to play by the rules and make your money. This music that is being played, I think it's a lazy way of utilizing public resources. Frequencies are not personal. They don't belong to KTN. Frequencies are national resources. You are only the custodian on behalf of Wanjiku. They're not yours. And that's why they're given with conditions that you must fulfill.
So one of the music on TV, yes.
One of the conditions is that you must adhere to the programming code, ensure that you observe the watershed, programs of adult nature where there is nudity. I told you about the thematic areas, sex, obscenity, and nudity. If you're doing it for purposes of promoting that, then the law will catch up with you from 1st of July. If you are promoting crime, violence, and imitable behavior, that's another thematic area that you're looking at. If you're promoting occultism and movies and programs that promote horror and desensitize children to pain, or promote violence to a point where children think that we resolve dispute by the barrel of the gun.
Okay, so wait, just hold on. So horror movies and action movies, is it a broad brush approach?
Again, there are specific details on how we gauge the frequency and impact. But if we look at how is it likely to affect a child, for example, violence, wrestling, for instance, where you are banging people on the floor, you are punching them, and you desensitize children to pain. That's actually what happens. Human feelings where somebody punches the other and you feel something. Now they watch these things even on video games and they become desensitized to the human feelings with time. This is what film does. This is what advertising does. It has strong appeals that make people behave in certain ways
So what do you
that
say
are not normal.
to those who allege and say, and we have seen it happen. I remember when the movie Wolves of Wall Street was banned, there was so much more discussion around it, so many more people wanting to watch and find out why. 50 Shades of Grey as well. So on one hand, you're banning with the best of intentions,
Yeah.
seeking to fulfill your mandate.
Yeah.
On the other hand, it's like, and we have a picture of the covers of those two films. On the other hand, it becomes like the situation in the Garden of Eden, where God told Adam and Eve, do not eat
The
of
forbidden fruit.
the forbidden fruit. But the minute you're told that, it becomes much more
Not
attractive. You
quite.
want to find
The other
out.
day we banned the Same Love, the gay song.
Yes.
I'm told it increased by 200 hits. But what were those hits suggesting? People are curious to see. It's the normal behavior of Kenyans. If you say there's a bomb there, instead of Kenyans running away, they go where the bomb
So
is.
you are serving
We
them
will
to draw
yeah.
attention to the
Not
things
quite.
you seek to.
First of all, sensitization, because we don't just ban, we say why. And we indicate what is wrong. But there's that behavior of Kenyans to be curious and to check. But believe you me, they check only once, they realize what the board is saying is true, and they don't check again. Same Love, for
What
example.
makes you think that?
Oh
That
yeah, that's the truth. We have research.
Then they don't have respect for your board, because why are they checking to confirm if you're right? They should be able to hear your word and say, okay, we're not going to go ahead with
It doesn't work that way.
Okay.
It doesn't work that way. People are human beings, and they do what human beings do. They are curious.
So then what is the point then of burning if at the end of
Because
the day
the law
they still
says
go?
so.
Okay.
Okay, first of all, the law says so. And we are not out to protect perverts. We are out to protect decent
Sure.
human beings who care about moral values.
All right.
If a pervert wants to check, a pervert will be a pervert whether we ban or we don't ban. They will be consumed by their sexual desires. And like the good book says, because when they knew right, they didn't do the right thing. They chose to do the wrong thing. And so they were given to their desires. That's their choice.
All right.
But children, we protect them. And if we found you now exposing children after we have banned, or repeating it, like what some station did last Friday, showing the advert that we had already been edited, but now showing the original version, there will be a penalty, and they'll pay some money. They'll feel the pinch.
All right.
If you want to go that way, then we encourage it.
You encourage.
But allow me to say, Sophia, because this is important, we are not ignorant to the fact that Kenyans will be curious to see. And we make those decisions as rational and as reasonable as possible to look at the wider good. If there are some who are going to see how much damage it's going to do, and who are they?
Okay.
They're not likely to be children. I don't think as a mother, out of curiosity, something that has been banned by the government, you want to tell your children, let's
Come
see,
and see.
here it is.
All right, I want
But
us to-
as an adult,
yeah.
you can do it.
You can do it.
Yeah.
Patrick Gadhara, who's a blogger, he's a columnist, a cartoonist, is on the phone for us tonight because he's one that has followed a lot of the work of the board.
He's been on my neck.
He's been on your neck and he's back to be on it.
I'm happy to have him tonight.
Gadhara, good
Yeah.
evening.
Good evening.
Can we have some more volume, please? So you've heard the CEO saying you have been on his neck. Talk to us about what you're hearing tonight.
No, on a light note, Patrick.
Well, I'm not on his neck. I mean, my big problem with Mr. Mutua is that he acts as if he's got a mandate, but he can't really show you what this mandate or what the laws that he claims to be enforcing are. So, for example, he speaks about a mandate to regulate advertising and stuff on and media content. But in 2007 we had a ruling by a court, a competent court, that essentially said that the act that set up the KFCB, which is CAP 222, as he has mentioned, has nothing to do with regulating media content. With regulating advertisement. In fact, it says that specifically. And he ignores this, and then he goes ahead and sets up all of these rules and regulations. The other question I have is when he speaks of values, he's banning things because they are showing homosexuality, for example. Where in the law does it say homosexuality is illegal? Who is he to be imposing his own values, and substituting them for something he calls national values? This is what I am against. It's nothing personal to him. I'm sure he's a very nice guy. But my problem is when public officials come and try and impose. Now he's trying to regulate political speech. He's trying to say that there are certain things politicians should not say within, quote unquote, the watershed. On what basis? With what law is he enforcing? And I want specifics. Tell me it is section this of this law that allows me to do this. And that's what on all the engagements I've had with him online, he's failed to do.
Hello?
Yep.
Yes.
I get
You.
Okay.
Did you get all of that?
Okay, yes. Thank you. Thank you, Patrick Gathara, for us. Yes, so...
First of all, I must thank Patrick. I mean, he has been so vocal. When I say this, I've been on my neck. It's not personal.
Yes.
And Patrick, I want to assure you that I take your statement seriously. But I happen to work as the CEO of the Kenya Film Classification Board with a very clear mandate that is in the law. There is no way a government body in Kenya can act ultra vires, even a minister, even the president. Kenyans are so litigious, and we have seen them stop even the head of state from taking certain decisions if they believe they're against the law. Now, Patrick has brought certain arguments. And why I like Patrick and people like Patrick is that they keep us who are in the government on our toes to ensure that the decisions that we take, we know that we are being watched by Kenyans who are intelligent, who are observing, and people who are committed like Patrick to ensure that these civil liberties that did not just come on a silver platter, that people died for, people sacrificed their lives for, they are protected. And I always say that the price we have to pay for our freedom is vigilance. So Gathara has his own job to do, and he's doing it fine. But I want him to appreciate that I'm also doing mine fine.
So
this is what I'm doing.
Yes.
The mandate of KFCB is in the law. It is in line with the Constitution. First of all the laws speak to the Constitution. And you cannot have a law that is in contravention of the Constitution, because then it is null and void and nobody will obey it. That's number one. And I've written even an article, I've engaged Gathara. I think I may not have the time to stipulate all the laws, but he knows about CAP 222, about film and stage plays. He knows about KICA 411A, section 46I, that gives us the mandate, especially even part G and so on. And he can read all those things. He's a very diligent guy. And I think we should engage in a way to even inform policy. If this law has a weakness and we're acting to travails, I believe a Kenyan can go to court. So first of all, we cannot act out of the mandate that we are given by the law. And the law is by the representatives of the people. Kenyans go to elections every 5 years to elect members of parliament, to enact CAP 222, to enact KICA, to enact laws that regulate their behavior and interaction. So I think the law is sufficient. To the extent that Gathara has not gone to court, to the extent that we have no case in court, 4 months after this issue has been in contravention, I think it shows you the story. Who is right and who is wrong? Who is just making noise and who is dealing with the real issues. And I think I want to invite, because some of the most critical regulatory decisions have been made in the court. Where there is contravention, let's proceed to court. I'll give you a good example, Sophia. In December, we banned the East African breweries adverts on beer. Actually, what we wanted is to take them out of the watershed. East African breweries came to us and they said, no, you can't do it. And they protested. In fact, they got one of the most prominent lawyers in this country, wrote to us and told us we were acting outside our mandate and he was going to sue us. I called a press conference and shared that letter with the media. And I also spoke about our mandate. And I invited him that we go to court. But I demanded that those adverts were not going to run because they're in contravention of the law. East African breweries removed those adverts.
All right, so the question is directly posed on political messages featuring political parties, figures, and manifestos. In a country where we hear a lot of hate speech and there's so many things that are going on, what exactly is it you're saying in as far as this is concerned?
Again, I told you one of the thematic areas, you can see it. It's propaganda for war, hate speech, and incitement. But these laws speak to other segments of the law that are governed or implemented by other government agencies, for example, the National Cohesion and
Cohesion,
Integration
yes.
Commission.
Right.
But in terms of content, they don't regulate content. What they regulate is the speech. If you said something in a political rally that is not in keeping with the laws of the National Cohesion and Integration Commission, then the Honorable Ole Kaparo will be on your case and is going to follow up and ensure that you are barred from running and so on. But the content that is picked and broadcast by the media is not Ole Kaparo. He cannot sue a media house. That is not his mandate. And then there are issues called cross-jurisdictional responsibilities and mandates.
So in that
where
particular case, you go for what? The media house?
I go for the media house. I don't go for the politician. I'll go for the media house. But Ole Kaparo will go for the media house. For the politician. For the politician, I beg your pardon. So this is the way we work. For instance, I will not come and close KTN or deny you or revoke your license. I don't have those powers. But I'll recommend to the Communications Authority of Kenya that you're in breach of this section and this section. I'll provide evidence because I'm monitoring. And based on that, I'll recommend that you are penalized.
Yeah.
And they will do it.
We have a little reminder for our viewers, the Domo Domo in terms of politics, and I want to hear your thoughts.
That's one of the things we are talking about.
Let's play it if we have it, Director, and we'll continue this conversation.
Wanyakazi wacha domo, hatutaki domo domo. Mtu wa domo, wanyakazi wacha domo, wacha domo lako. Kazi iendelee, wacha domo lako.
All right, and of course there was a response to that one as well. So let's take a listen to when that advertiser's video came out. This was a response from the opposing party.
Wazalendo, jina langu ni Faiza Mkenya kutoka shule ya upili ya Maisha Bora. Ningependa kuwapinga vikali wapinzani wetu kutoka shule ya Ngumbaru ya ukabila uendelee, nikiwaambia kwamba msitufunge domo. Kama si domo, si mamluki wangeendelea na kazi hiyo hiyo. Kama si domo, Bwana Githongo angefichua kazi hiyo hiyo ya Anglo Leasing. Kama si domo, Wakenya wangegundua njama yao ya kutupotosha na katiba yao mbaya. Msitufunge domo. Nitapiga domo mpaka ufisadi ukwishe. Nitapiga domo mpaka Wakenya wapate mabadiliko kamili. Ningependa kuwashauri Wakenya wenzangu waache ufisadi na ukabila, wavuke sakafu mwendo wa aste aste, waungane na Wakenya wenzao ili tulete mabadiliko ya kweli.
All right, before I come to you for your thoughts on that, Geoffrey has been standing by, I understand, on the line for a while now. Geoffrey, thanks for calling. Good evening to you. Your thoughts tonight?
Yeah, good evening. My name is Geoffrey. I'm calling you from Mombasa. Evening, Mr. Mutua.
Good evening, Geoffrey.
My concern is about the social media. I don't know whether you also touch on social media and you're able to regulate them. Because many times, most of us, and as much as we're regretting the advertisement on TV, on radio, now most people will run to things like maybe Facebook and Twitter and all that. And at times you may want to read, or to check just on a message if a friend has dropped a message on Facebook, and what you find on Facebook is...
Can you have more volume, please? Can barely make out. Geoffrey, a little bit louder, please. Speak up.
Hello?
Yes, speak up a little bit louder, tafadhali.
Yeah, what I'm saying is, many times I know that Mr. Mutua they're working really hard to regulate the advertisements that have been now on TV, which does not are not in line with the ethics that we need in our family, especially that now. But now we got this problem whereby you go check on Facebook, you want to maybe see what a friend has just sent you a message on Facebook, and what you find is even go for pornographic photos,
social media,
videos for pornography and all that. are they also in a position to regulate other media besides the television, TV, and others?
All right.
That's
Thank you, Geoffrey. Yes, I
We're
hope
not
you.
quite clear, but
Yes.
I think Geoffrey is talking about social media, and I think that's another area that we are focusing on. Sophia, the post-election violence of 2007, 2008 was majorly because of vernacular and because of this kind of things that we are seeing, Domo Domo, and TV and radio, basically. The challenge right now is actually on social media. The hate speeches, the hateful messages, the kind of inappropriate content spewed through the social media. That is what we're trying to work on to ensure that we are not going to have a challenge that might lead to ethnic hatred or political animosity and so on during the elections. Because that's one arena you can't ignore. Anybody who is planning and strategizing for their communication strategies for politics for 2017, they are thinking of the social media.
So you're yet to come up with measures to regulate.
We already have put measures in
Okay,
place,
okay.
but thankfully, the Minister of ICT is also revising the ICT policy, and we are coming up with proper regulations that will govern not just the use of the internet or regulation of the new media and technologies, but also even over-the-top services like Netflix that we have been talking about, because they say there's no policy. But as far as our guidelines are concerned, we have sufficient laws and mechanisms to use right now to take action on people who are misusing social media. But I think, like Patrick Gadara was saying, we must be careful that we do not overdo things or get overexcited and in the process undermine the most fundamental liberties and freedoms that we have fought for over the years. And to the extent that Kenyans are vigilant, Kenyans are expressing themselves, and they're finding new avenues through the media to interact, I think that's a good thing. The challenge is when you use that to push political agendas that are not based on facts, to demean other people, to malign and defame people,
Yes.
I think that is what we are going to look at. And
Yeah.
right now, as it is, we are able to take action.
So someone is asking briefly, because you have 3 minutes to go. I have so many questions still coming in from the viewers. Social media falls under your board?
Content. You know, we exist to regulate
So it's content.
in various levels. Creation of the content, distribution of that content, whether on TV, radio, online, or through film. It's our mandate. There is no other organization in the country that deals with content. So if you're distributing it through the social media, it's our responsibility. And that's how when Netflix came, we were talking about the content aspect of it. About the infrastructure, that's the work of Communications Authority.
All right, another quick question. So on the political messages, just to get it right, what is it we will see you put in place? We're getting into an election year. It will be quite, heated as always.
Yes.
And all manner of proclamations are made in that time. So what is it you're putting in place?
First of all, we are going to regulate all adverts, even the creation. We are going to be very keen to ensure before you even take that advert to the broadcaster,
Right.
as you create it, as you originate that advert, you got a licensing, filming license from KFCB. And we're going to look at the script and where we find elements that are demeaning or scandalizing other people or are likely to cause political or
But
tribal
some of these
animosity.
comments are off cuff. It's in a rally that you'll hear all of these things. Let's say, for example, we're covering it live. So
Then
how
the
is
duty is the broadcaster. If somebody says Pesa si ya mamako and you air it, Ole Kaparo can deal with that if there was an element of violation of the National Cohesion and Integration Commission Act. But when that content is aired and in our examination regulations, we feel it's inappropriate or it was insulting or demeaning to another politician or another political party, that element of the content and dealing with the broadcaster is the mandate of KFCB.
To those who accuse you of overreaching and stretching into the mandate of the Kenya Film Commission, in that you're not just regulating film and content, but you're also getting into promotion of the marketing of filmmakers. Some of them aligning themselves to you because perhaps you have all of this budgetary, allocation, so they see they will benefit more if they're with you. Briefly, by the time is really out, my director tells me to wind
Not
up.
quite. We are within the law. I think
Okay.
I've answered that question. No, we are a government body. You cannot act ultra vires. You'll be sued and you'll
But
be stopped.
promoting filmmakers, that is for KFC, not for you.
I said promoting filmmakers
Yes, promoting films.
or going to promote films.
Yes.
Oh yeah, it's actually part of our mandate. It also talks about promoting films.
You have a lot of work.
A lot of work. And you know why we promote it? There will be nothing for me to classify if films are not being made. So I have a duty, because I classify, I license the development or creation of the film, the distribution, and even marketing of the same. I
But what
think
about the
marketing
KFC?
Kenya,
Yeah.
marketing Kenya is a filming destination. Is the work of Kenya Film Kenya Film Commission. And I think that is very clear.
Yes.
Our mandates are overlapping, but they are not contradictory. We support each other.
Okay.
Yeah.
All right, we must wind up, but we had asked this question on social media. We had a poll, Twitter poll running. Do you think the Kenya Film Classification Board oversteps its mandate in regulating the industry? 66% say yes. 34% say no. That is what we'd put out there. And we thank you so much for your feedback. Director, can I get 2 minutes to read some of the comments? I can read one. She says, Kevin Kabuya says the day that KFCB will ban the telenovelas and company, many Kenyans are praying for that to happen. The Ocheng Wiki is saying, I think all media should be given to air their own programs. Konyi, some ads promote treble discordance, like the Unga featuring Wafula and Koimet. Kevin Kabuya, you say the civilization thing one day will work against us. Arsenal, you say you are taking the whole thing too far. KFCB, there should be a limit. Cole Tasker, he was asking if we've watched some of those things that have been banned. But KFCB have been so out of touch, is what Patrick Harvester is saying. With the reality, it's a wonder they know themselves. However, you have support from Eric saying, I agree, the parents are the ones that are failing society. KFCB is doing a great job. CEOs should clarify the board's position in Netflix. Briefly, the board's position is what now?
That first of all, we stated our position that content streaming to Kenya needs to conform to the ratings of KFCB. But the Cabinet Secretary for ICT clarified that issue, initiated conversation to come up with a policy, and that process is ongoing. And we decided to bide our time, hold our horses to wait for that to the Netflix, to the ICT policy on Netflix or over the top, because it's not just Netflix. So many others are going to be coming on board.
Yeah.
So we are actually, yesterday I spent the half a day at Lake Regency with the Communications Authority of Kenya and stakeholders dealing with that ICT policy.
Okay.
Sooner than later, it is going to be law. But let me talk about those. First of all, don't go by those. You remember the real people that I work for. They're not the people on the Twitter. They are the people, the parents
you
who are
work for
calling.
all of them. You work for all of them.
Not
sir.
the contest. I mean, I know those ones who are calling. But I wanted to say this, that actually, while those concerns are valid, majority of Kenyans would like the board to do what it's doing. Majority of Kenyans.
Okay.
We conduct research, we do surveys. Most of the times, even before we go to the press, we get serious companies in this country to give us an opinion, even if you're going to get 1,000 people, and they tell us this is what generally reflects the feeling of Kenyans on this issue.
We thank you so much for your time. Asante sana.
welcome.
So much still to talk about 1 hour on. So thank you for being with us. Ezekiel Mutua,
Thank you very much.
who is the CEO of the Kenya Film Classification Board, with us tonight on The Last Word. So there you heard it. The Kenya Film Classification Board insists things will not be the same again in matters media advertising in regard to specific products. Our view is that whereas the measures taken by the board appear to have well advised and with good intentions, especially when it comes to fostering peace through the control of political messages, it would help if the board worked more closely with the key players in the advertising industry and within the media with a view to encouraging self-regulation. And that tonight is The Last Word. Thank you for watching. I'm Sophia Wanuna. Good night.